can I ask you a question?
John Roberts, go ahead, John. No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions from CNN. John Roberts of Fox. Let's go to a real. Let's go to a real network. John, let's go.
Well, we're a real network too.
Thank you, Mr. President.
CNN, can I ask you a question?
John Roberts, go ahead, John. No. John Roberts, go ahead. CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is fake news. I don't take questions.
Fake news.
Quick question about that. So you haven't made any contact, though, just to make sure.
With who?
The North Koreans.
I don't want to say. I won't say that.
Okay.
We have a good relationship with North Korea. As good as you can have. I mean, we have a good relationship with North Korea. I have a good relationship with Kim Jong-un, and I hope he's okay. And somebody would say, oh, that's terrible. No, it's not terrible. I hope he's okay. And I think it was a fake report done by CNN.
So can I ask you a question?
What do you have? Go ahead. No, that's enough. Go ahead.
But that wasn't my question.
The problem is you don't write the truth. So, as far as I'm concerned, I want to go to the next
Can
one.
I ask you a question about...
No, not CNN, please. Go ahead.
The White House has not responded to the
I told you. CNN is fake news. Don't talk to me. Go ahead, please.
But he says he was retaliated against, and that's why he was removed from his job.
They say, hey, John, about 8 years too late, huh? I don't watch CNN, MSNBC, CNNBC, PBS, NBC, CBS, ABC. You get it, don't you? Little bit of fakeness, little bit of fakeness. Didn't wipe Po Trump through the mud. Po Donald, man. But that landslide is coming. That landslide is coming, and I hope you're ready. As you can see by the title, this one's going to get real good, real spicy. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let's jump straight in. Oh boy.
Doctored image, but it's plastered on the tailgate of the pickup truck. So if you're driving behind it, it would appear as if Joe Biden were actually restrained on the vehicle's flatbed.
If you think that's really Joe Biden tied up on the back of the pickup truck, I don't know that you have the mental acuity to be operating a...
You won't believe what just happened on live TV. Jon Stewart, the comedic genius known for his sharp satire, just tore into MSNBC and CNN for their shameless, biased reporting.
The candidates must have been so excited to know that they haven't missed it. I imagine old man Biden opening his window and shouting at the street below, "You there, boy! What day is today?"
It all kicked off when CNN refused to show a doctored image of President Joe Biden, claiming it was too disturbing. Now, if you've been paying attention to CNN over the years, you know they've shown some pretty graphic stuff. Remember the images from the Syrian war or their exhaustive coverage of the pandemic? Yet, they decided this one image was too much.
To the event, what did the political class believe would be the criteria for each candidate to be successful in the debate? First, Donald Trump.
Trump has to show that he's not going to end democracy.
Don't respond in a way that the suburban mothers wouldn't like.
Don't interrupt Joe Biden.
Don't take the bait. Don't look like a bully.
Don't get angry.
Portray normalness.
Can't you just pretend to be normal for 90 minutes?
Stewart, always the skeptic, saw right through this. He realized that what we're seeing isn't about protecting viewers from disturbing content. It's about political sensationalism and pushing a narrative. The media loves to play up certain stories to drive ratings, often at the expense of objectivity and truth. Jon Stewart, no stranger to media games, found this particularly eye-opening.
That's what was so disturbing and dehumanizing. You wouldn't show it on television and an airbrushed Biden decal on the back of a truck? Aren't you the same networks that show reruns of 9/11 every year?
His critique was as sharp as ever.
Oh boy.
Stewart pointed out how networks like CNN and MSNBC have become more like tabloids, prioritizing sensationalism over real journalism. Take, for instance, the over-the-top reactions to that Biden image. They hyped it up, built it into something monstrous, only to reveal something that was more political theater than genuine news. And this isn't just a one-off. Stewart reminded us of numerous instances where CNN has done the same, using emotional, often graphic content to push a political agenda. Think back to when they broadcast the image of the bloodied Syrian boy pulled from rubble, or the non-stop alarmist coverage of the missing Malaysian Airlines flight. These stories were used to tug at our heartstrings and sway public opinion, rather than simply inform. Stewart also touched on the broader issue of trust. He showed how CNN and MSNBC's relentless bias and sensationalism have eroded their credibility. Viewers are tuning out in droves because they can sense when they're being manipulated. For example, CNN's ratings have taken a nosedive since Trump left office in 2020. People are fed up with being talked down to,
nosedive,
and bombarded with alarmist breaking news banners that often amount to nothing more than hype.
Surely the expectations on President Biden will be higher.
He absolutely cannot have a senior moment, a physical or verbal stumble, him forgetting something.
Any of his kind of freezing moments, stay alert, to stay engaged, and to stay awake.
President Biden has to show that he can stand there for an extended period of time.
Remain upright.
Oh man, it's even funnier as we go through this, man, and yeah. Oh boy. As we've seen what took place during that debate, and we've seen what took place this year alone, man. Every single day. Elderly abuse, man. It is sad where we're at right now, man. It really is, you guys. Besides this video and all the laughing and what we're getting, it's sad, man. It's heartbreaking, you know. The best country in the world. A complete laughing stock, man. People are struggling, man. In this fast time travel that we live in. We live in a very, very fast time travel, y'all. And as you're seeing this video, all these videos, everything that's happening right now, we're living in the biggest history yet, y'all. They're going to come back and replay these clips, man. They're going to come back and replay these videos. Long when we're gone. For real. This was really taking place in 2024. We're living in the biggest history yet, man. I kid you not.
Think of it like this. You turn on the news, and what do you see? Bright red banners screaming, "Breaking news!" Dramatic music and anchors with grave expressions. It's all designed to grab your attention and keep you watching. That's sensationalism in a nutshell. It's the media's way of driving ratings by making everything seem urgent and extreme. The whole point is to create a sense of drama and crisis, even when there isn't one. Why? Because drama and crisis keep people glued to their screens. Higher ratings mean more advertising dollars. It's a business model that prioritizes profits over accurate, balanced reporting. Let's look at some historical examples. Remember the missing Malaysian Airlines flight MH370? CNN turned that tragedy into a 24/7 spectacle. They had endless speculation, constant updates, and dramatic graphics, even when there was no new information. The same thing happened with the Ebola outbreak in 2014. They showed terrifying images and used alarmist language to keep viewers on edge, even though the risk to most people was incredibly low. Then there's the pandemic. CNN and MSNBC both ramped up their sensationalist tactics with nonstop coverage featuring scary statistics and worst-case scenarios. While it's important to inform the public about serious issues, the way these networks did it often bordered on fear-mongering. They focused on the most dramatic aspects, like overwhelmed hospitals and high death tolls, rather than providing balanced information that included recoveries and positive developments. Emotionally charged imagery is another key tool in the sensationalist playbook. Think back to that heartbreaking image of the Syrian boy, bloodied and sitting in an ambulance after an airstrike. CNN plastered that image everywhere, using it to make a point about the need for intervention in Syria and to influence public opinion about refugees. It's the same tactic they used with images from Ukraine, showing the devastation and suffering to push a particular narrative. These images are powerful because they tap into our emotions. They make us feel something: anger, sadness, fear, and that emotional reaction keeps us engaged. But it's a double-edged sword. While these images can raise awareness about important issues, they can also be used to manipulate public opinion and push a biased agenda.
And dehumanizing imagery.
We're only going to show you a clip of this briefly. All right, that's enough. Let's take it down.
I didn't get to see it at all.
The image in question was a manipulated picture of President Biden, making it look like he was hogtied on the back of a pickup truck. This image was shared by former President Donald Trump on his Truth Social account. CNN decided not to air this image, citing its violent and disturbing nature.
Asked not to show the image from this video because of its violent and disturbing nature.
Video, which we are intentionally choosing not to show you.
We're not going to show because of how disturbing it is.
I was extremely disturbed to see this.
Horrible, horrible, violent image.
Now, on the surface, this might seem like a reasonable decision. No one wants to see violent or dehumanizing images on their TV screen, but here's where it gets interesting, and a bit hypocritical. CNN has a long history of showing graphic and violent content when it suits their narrative. Think about it. We've seen images from war zones, the aftermath of natural disasters, and even the horrific footage of mass shootings. These images are undeniably disturbing, yet CNN airs them regularly under the guise of informing the public.
This has got to be devastating. News channels show images from Ukraine, from Gaza, from natural disasters. They get through them dispassionately. I can't imagine how devastating this footage was.
So why was this particular image of Biden deemed too disturbing? Jon Stewart, ever the skeptic, saw right through this. He pointed out that the refusal to show the image wasn't about protecting viewers from graphic content, it was about protecting a political figure and avoiding controversy. It's a classic example of sensationalism with a twist. When showing graphic content aligns with their agenda, CNN is all for it, but when it might cast a favored political figure in a bad light, suddenly they're concerned about disturbing their audience. Let's contrast this with some of the other content CNN has aired. Remember the Syrian boy, bloodied and dazed, sitting in an ambulance after an airstrike. That image was plastered all over CNN, used to evoke sympathy and outrage about the Syrian conflict. Or think about their extensive coverage of the pandemic, with constant footage of overcrowded hospitals and grieving families. These images are heart-wrenching and disturbing, but they were shown repeatedly to drive home the severity of the situations.
Former President Donald Trump shared a video, this one, on his Truth Social account featuring an image of President Joe Biden hogtied on the back of a pickup truck.
Jon Stewart's point was that CNN's selective sensitivity reveals their bias. They're willing to show all sorts of violent and graphic content when it suits their purpose, but they draw the line when it might make a political ally look bad. This selective outrage undermines their credibility and shows that their primary goal is not to inform the public objectively, but to shape the narrative in a way that benefits their interests. This incident is a perfect example of the larger problem with mainstream media today. It's not just about what they choose to show, but also about what they choose not to show. By selectively curating content, they manipulate public perception and maintain their control over the narrative. Jon Stewart's critique highlights the need for viewers to be more discerning and critical of the media they consume. If you've been following the news, you probably noticed that these networks aren't as popular as they used to be, but it's not just a hunch. There's hard data to back it up. First off, let's talk numbers. After Donald Trump left office in 2020, both CNN and MSNBC saw a significant drop in their viewership. According to data from Nielsen, CNN's primetime viewership fell by a whopping 44% in the first quarter of 2021 compared to the previous year. MSNBC didn't fare much better, with a decline of 19%. This isn't just a temporary dip, it's part of a longer trend showing that people are tuning out. So why the mass exodus? A big part of it is trust, or rather, the lack of it. Multiple surveys and studies have shown that viewers are losing faith in these networks due to their perceived bias. According to a survey from Gallup, trust in the media overall is at an all-time low, with only 36% of Americans expressing a great deal or fair amount of trust in mass media. But it's even worse for networks like CNN and MSNBC, which are often seen as leaning too far left. The Financial Times chart really drives this point home. It shows a clear decline in the ratings of CNN and MSNBC post-2020. What's interesting is that this drop isn't just about political fatigue after the Trump era, it's also about people catching on to the sensationalism and bias. The chart highlights how these networks, which used to dominate the airwaves, are now struggling to keep their audience engaged. But it's not just about numbers on a chart. When you dig into viewer feedback, a common theme emerges. People feel talked down to and manipulated. For example, a study by Emleen and Associates found that 54% of CNN's viewers reported tuning out because of the network's consistent liberal bias. Viewers are tired of the one-sided narratives and the constant barrage of sensationalist headlines. Think about it. How many times have you seen CNN's infamous breaking news banner flashing on the screen, only to find out it's not really breaking news? This overuse of dramatic tactics has led to a kind of boy who cried wolf situation. People have become desensitized to the constant state of emergency that these networks try to create, and it's backfiring. Jon Stewart's critique ties into this perfectly. He highlighted how networks like CNN and MSNBC prioritize sensationalism over substance, using emotionally charged imagery and alarmist language to keep viewers hooked. But as more people wise up to these tactics, they're choosing to get their news elsewhere. These networks have been accused of biased reporting numerous times, and it's worth exploring how this has impacted public perception and trust. First up, let's talk about the fake news phenomenon. This term really gained traction during the Trump presidency, with Trump himself frequently accusing CNN and other outlets of spreading misinformation.
Yeah, y'all know I played the clip I played one of the many famous clips, but one of the famous clips in the intro of this video. Fake news.
Information. While fake news can sometimes be a catch-all term used to discredit unfavorable reports, there are legitimate instances where CNN and MSNBC have been caught with their hands in the biased cookie jar. One of the most notable examples is the coverage of the 2016 election. CNN and MSNBC were heavily criticized for their overtly negative coverage of Trump and their positive spin on Hillary Clinton. This wasn't just about reporting on the facts, it was about framing narratives to fit a particular political agenda. For instance, during the election, CNN was found to have given debate questions to the Clinton campaign ahead of time. This kind of behavior only fueled the perception of bias and unfair play.
For a presidential debate, and not what you would say to your parents when you bring home a date for the first time. Can you not talk about January 6th? And please don't do your Asian.
Another example is the coverage of the Black Lives Matter protests in 2020. While it's crucial to report on social justice issues, CNN and MSNBC were accused of selectively highlighting peaceful protests and downplaying instances of violence and looting. This selective coverage can skew public perception, making it seem like the entire movement was either wholly peaceful or entirely violent, depending on the network's narrative. Then there's the infamous Covington Catholic High School incident. In early 2019, CNN and MSNBC both jumped on a viral video that seemed to show a group of MAGA hat-wearing students mocking a Native American elder. The initial coverage was highly critical of the students, painting them as the villains. However, longer footage later revealed a much more complex situation, showing that the students had been provoked by another group and that the elder had approached them first. Both networks faced backlash for their rush to judgment and failure to verify all the facts before broadcasting. We can't forget about the coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop story either. In the lead-up to the 2020 election, the New York Post published a story about a laptop allegedly belonging to Hunter Biden containing emails suggesting dubious foreign business dealings. CNN and MSNBC were quick to dismiss the story as Russian disinformation without conducting thorough investigations. This led to accusations of media bias, especially since social media platforms also restricted sharing the story, further fueling the perception of a coordinated effort to protect Joe Biden's campaign. The fake news phenomenon has had a significant impact on public perception. People are now more skeptical of mainstream media and more likely to seek out alternative news sources, whether they're blogs, YouTube channels, or social media accounts. This fragmentation of news consumption has created echo chambers, where people only hear what aligns with their existing beliefs, further polarizing society. So,
wow, you guys send me some amazing videos to check out and react to. Wow. What do y'all think of that? And we've covered a lot of this on the channel. Yeah. A lot of things that were said in this video, we said in previous videos. You know? So, I know this was ringing a lot of people's bells, man. But I want to thank y'all for sending me some amazing stuff. And make sure y'all go down below and check out Wokebusters in the description box down below. But oh boy. It's just been a complete circus, a complete... And boy, oh boy, that mainstream media. They say the fake news. Boy. They said it was a cheap fake, a deep fake. The clips were edited, but they played the same clips on CNN and MSNBC. Well, we got a landslide incoming, y'all. A landslide is incoming, so y'all keep sending me more amazing videos to check out and react to, and we're gonna call it for what it is, man. Thank y'all for stopping by. God bless all you and your families, man. We're wishing the best in everybody's life, man. One love to the human race, baby. I love y'all, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.